Happy January. There's few things as American as the classic cheeseburger, but this month's recipe gives us a new twist on an old favorite. So let's talk about the star of the show, and that's gonna be the beef in the beef burger bowl. So do you remember last March when the pandemic first hit and sometimes it was hard to find protein on empty grocery store shelves? It was a scary time that we hope we don't see again. But that's provided a lot of opportunity for our local farmers to do direct-to-consumer sales. So what does that mean? That means that you're gonna have complete trust in your farmers to know where those animals were raised. They're gonna go from their farm to your plate. So if you like individual cuts like the sirloin or the tomahawk or the ribeye, if those are some of your favorites, you may want to find a farmer who's done extra certification and has had their animal processed at a USDA inspected facility. In order to sell individual shares, you would have to have a USDA inspected animal. But if you're looking to fill your freezer to have plenty of beef to get you through the year or through the season, you can contact a farmer who sells beef shares. Beef shares are available because the farmer maintains ownership of the animal, but you buy a quarter or a half or a portion of that animal ahead of time. If you're looking for a whole beef to get all of those slow cooker and pressure cooker favorites, like those roasts that are really quick and easy to prepare, a whole beef may be a good option for you, but fear not, because a half, a quarter, and an eighth will also feature some of those kind of shares as well. So if you're looking to get connected with a local beef farmer, visit the Pendleton County Farmers Market or contact us here at the Pendleton County Extension Office and we'll introduce you.
Recipe in the calendar, it is the burger bowl. I have some items already prepared, but I will go through step by step on everything I have done. I have some of our romaine already chopped and ready to go, and I'll share with you a little bit about how I prepared it to this point. I have 2 bags in my hand right here. This is how I bought the romaine lettuce. It came as a whole head. And if we look at the romaine lettuce, it says that it came directly from the field. If you're using a product and it comes in a bag and it says it came from the field, it has not been rinsed. So then it's really important that you wash and clean your lettuce. And there's a proper way of doing that, and we'll talk about that in just a second. If it's similar to this bag, and this is kale, but it was the best one I had to show you, it says it is washed and ready for use. So therefore you open up the bag and you use it. So if you want to save a step in this process, you can purchase romaine lettuce already chopped, already washed and rinsed and ready for you. Just open the bag and use. When you are preparing and washing, you don't want to immerse it in water. You don't want to you kind of want to take it under your sink, your faucet in a spray mode under light, cool water, rinse it off on both sides, make sure anything that might be on it is removed. Most of the time, if they're coming directly from the field, they are pretty clean. You just want to rinse off anything else that you might see on it as well. One thing they recommend is to lay them flat on a towel. I like to use a paper towel on top of my towel. Make sure your towel is clean, and then you slightly roll it. You really careful, you don't want to bruise it, you don't want to do too much damage to it, but once you have rinsed it, if you want to speed the process, you can just let it sit there and air dry if you wish. You can put it in a salad spinner if you have a salad spinner. You can chop it and then put it in your salad spinner. But then you just kind of press it lightly, pat off all that extra, which that paper towel is hopefully absorbing. You roll it back out, and then most of that moisture is off of your lettuce leaves. And then you remove them off your paper towel, fold that up and get it out of your way, and then they're ready to prepare and chop. One thing important, when you're chopping vegetables, make sure you're always using a separate cutting board or anything from what you might be doing meat on. And we'll talk about that probably in a future recipe. It, to me, makes the lettuce hold up better if you tear it as opposed to chopping it. So this part in here I have, so if I was going to continue to do this with a few pieces and I don't need a whole lot more in my pan, I just pull it, add it to my recipe. I'm a picky salad eater. I don't want to have to chop it once it gets to my plate. I like it small enough when I'm preparing it that I don't have to do any more work. I sometimes rate a salad bar based on how well has that salad been chopped up. I don't like to get those big pieces, but that's just me. You might like a bigger piece. So then you have that lettuce in a bowl. I don't really need the rest of them. It called for about 4 cups and I had quite a bit in here to begin with. So I'm going to move my bowl forward. To the rest of my salad bowl, I'm pretty much just adding the cheese. The rest will plate as we go. I'm going to add that cheese. I use sharp cheddar cheese. Sharp cheddar cheese has a stronger flavor. You don't have to use as much of it. When you're making any kind of dish that calls for cheese, if you want to cut it almost in half, if you use a sharper cheese, your flavor will still stay and you're not using as much. So I'm going to mix that all in there. Now I love my cheese, so a little extra never hurts me. But if we're trying to stay on the healthy side, it might not be the best option to add more than the recipe calls. We'll plate up our salad here in just a second, but as we're getting ready, we need to prepare the dressing. The dressing for our salad says we're going to use 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. We prefer a light mayonnaise, so I have 1/3 cup of mayonnaise already measured out here. I'm going to put it in my bowl. The recipe called for 1/4 cup of ketchup. This is almost going to be like a Thousand Island type dressing. If you added chopped pickles to it with the rest of the ingredients, you basically have made a Thousand Island dressing, or how I used to make Thousand Island dressing. You are using 1 tablespoon of oil, olive oil. Your light olive oils, virgin olive oils are better for your dressings. You're using very little apple cider vinegar, so I'm hoping I have a steady hand and don't go more, but you're just using a 1/2 teaspoon of your apple cider vinegar. And there we go. Then you're using a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. That's what my big bowl is out there for. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Whoa. Good thing I didn't pour that over the bowl. 1/4 teaspoon. Add that in. And then I'm going to whisk it together. On this particular salad that we are making, we are not adding the dressing to the salad. We'll let people use as little or as much as they want. The recipe does say drizzle on top. So you could do a fancy little drizzle on top if you wished. But if you look at it, it's almost like that French dressing, Thousand Island dressing type color. So that's our dressing. And then all you have to do to serve this, if you were having this for lunch today or dinner tonight, put a few slices of tomato, add your cheese and lettuce to your plate. As many of the chopped red onions. That's another thing that was in the recipe that I did not really talk about, but there's a red onion. You actually could use green onions. You could use a white onion. I like the flavor of a red onion quite well, and they are very good in salads, or I feel they are. Some people don't like onions, so if everybody is plating it and you had it all out for people to plate their own, they could leave the onions on or take the onions off. And then you're putting 3 of these little burgers. And I showed you how I was making those burgers. I used 97% lean beef for the burgers because it called for a lean beef. Only thing in the beef basically was seasoned salt. So there is no breadcrumbs, there is no anything else into how you typically might make a burger. If you've made burgers in the past, it's just seasoned salt and that lean beef patted up into little burgers. And then you have a beautifully plated salad for your lunch. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat.
January's physical activity tip of the month is to create SMART goals. And these should be small goals that you can check off every couple of weeks. These small goals are ones that should lead up to your final goal. The 2021 Food and Nutrition Calendar has boxes that you can actually go through and check off those days that you complete your goal for that day. Here with Extension, we encourage physical activity as a way for you and your family to get healthy and stay healthy. For a lot of people, the month of January involves a New Year's resolution of trying to lose weight. One great way to make that happen is through circuit training. And circuit training is basically where you have a few short minutes of high-intensity exercise moves, and you intermission that with 30-second rest breaks between each exercise. Some examples include jump ropes, jogging in place, high knees, and jumping jacks. Phew. Don't forget to rest 30 seconds in between each exercise.
Thanks for tuning in to Cooking Through the Calendar. Join us next month as we talk about easy peasy mac and cheesy. In the meantime, if you have questions or want program updates, contact the Pendleton County Extension Office and be sure to like and follow our Facebook page.